What was the most horrific game of truth or dare you've ever played? Story 1. Playing with a couple buddies and some random girls at a party. One of my friends dares one of the girls to get fisted. She's revolted. But another one of the girls perks up and says, "Ooh, pick me." My buddy takes the girl up to a room. They come back in like half an hour. According to him, after he fisted her they tried to have s. Tried because that girl's V was too wide, wonder why. And neither of them felt anything. We still bust his butt by calling him Fister Roboto. Story 2. When I was in 6th grade, I was dared to let these 3 girls tie me spread eagle to the bedclothes and do anything they wanted for 10 minutes. I thought they would do something sexy. Instead, they spent 10 minutes dropping different objects onto my nuts from varying heights. One girl dropped a heavy tape dispenser on me, which made me cry. Story 3. Playing in a group of girls, all around 13 to 14 years old. The most kind-hearted girl there with the sweetest face, cute little curls and freckles, is dared to take a dump on a plate in front of the rest of us. No hesitation. Just giggles. "Okay, where's the plate?" The girl whose house it was then proceeds to keep said plate in the basement freezer for a couple weeks for science, until her mom found it. I don't know if they kept the plate. Story 4. I was dared to climb a friend's apartment balcony in nothing but boxers and sneakers. I executed this task with top Spider-Man-like efficiency, until another inebriated friend stepped out and began to piss off of the balcony, not knowing I was just below. Needless to say, anti-piss instincts kicked in and I dropped 2 stories down into the parking lot. My profanities were heard echoing for miles around that night. Story 5. I got dared to answer the door and pay for the pizza we ordered completely naked. Whatever. Easy, right? The doorbell rings, I strip down quickly, and I grab the cash to pay for the pizza, but the pizza guy was not waiting at the door. It was the mom of one of the girls at the party. She had come to pick her up early, only to find me at the door naked. Her husband was a church minister. The party ended pretty quickly when she called. All the other parents were called to pick up their kids. Good times. Story 6. I was playing truth or dare with a girl I liked on my trampoline, when she dared me to eat a dandelion, one of the white nasty ones that the wind hasn't blown away yet. A couple rounds later I dared her to kiss me. She said nope and made me come up with a new dare. I just ate a dandelion, hoping I would get a kiss playing this game. I was 24 when this happened. Story 7. I was tied to a chair and only my underwear covered in peanut butter, and they put me about 6 feet from the door and ordered a pizza. He wouldn't open the door when I was yelling at him that it was open. After about 3 minutes he finally did, and he was pretty terrified. I told him the money was in the pocket of the jacket hanging up, and that he could keep the change. He asked if I needed help, and I said nah. My friends will come back eventually, I am just really hungry. The dude set the pizza in my lap, which I thought was okay until he left and it started to burn really bad. I was okay. My friends all came out of hiding after he left and just busted up laughing. There is a video of it somewhere. As it turns out, I would work at that same pizza place for about 2 years. The guy who delivered it worked there and didn't recognize me until I asked him about his weirdest delivery story. I laughed for a while and told him it was me, and I did it because of a dare. He didn't really look at me the same ever again. Story 8. It wasn't a game of truth or dare, but something kinda like it. You put one person in the middle of a ring of people, and they ask questions to the people around them. The object of the game is for the person in the middle to guess the rules of the game. Everyone else already knows the rules, so the rules of the game are pretty easy. When asked a question, you answer to the best of your ability for the person next to you. If the person answering for you gets it wrong, you say bullshit and the side that you are answering for reverses. Instead of answering for the person on your left, you go right. Needless to say, things got strange right away. The girl in the middle was getting creeped out and confused. I remember she asked me, "How big is your D?" And I answered for the girl sitting next to me, "I don't have one, duh." So she's getting really frustrated. Finally, she turns to her brother who was also playing. She asked him, "Have you ever had a fantasy about me?" He takes a very slow look at the guy sitting beside him, turns back to her and completely deadpan he replies, "I'm having one right now." We had to stop playing after that. Story 9. I was right at the beginning of middle school. We were starting to play Truth or Dare at birthday parties. We were playing a variation that I think in the US is called X Minutes in Heaven. Anyways, I think it was my turn for the heaven thing. I was so rooting for the beautiful girl I had a crush with. Instead it gets to a really weird-looking girl I wasn't attracted to at all. In my head I'm really let down, this girl wasn't attractive at all. Suddenly the girl starts bawling and runs out screaming something along the lines of "not with him, yeah." Story 10. We always did a pair of dares. I do get sprayed by this mace that is used in correctional facilities. Almost looked like a fire extinguisher, or call my friend's mom and ask her on the date. I chose the mace, primarily because I thought she'd accept. Story 11. In Berlin, a friend of mine had to walk through a graveyard with his pants pulled down pretending to be a dog. The funniest part was when there was a couple sitting on a bench minding their own business, when suddenly this stoned guy walks up to them, barks at them while having his pants pulled down, went to a little well right next to them, started drinking water like a dog, then went back to them, barked again, and then just sat there for 2 minutes staring at them. Eventually he wanted to run away but fell over his own pants. Story 12. We 3 guys and 3 girls were all in the hot tub at this chick's house, and I get dared to go mash my D up against her parents' bedroom window. Granted, it's like 1 a.m. and the whole house is completely dark, so I thought it would be no big deal. Get out of the hot tub, run over to the window, drop my suit, and smash my junk up against the window for a few moments. Then, in the reflective light of the pool, I catch a glimpse of her parents sitting right inside the window, watching us from inside. They didn't even blink, just watched me. It was terrifying. Terrifying. Like, I saw them for a split second as the light passed over the glass, just inches away from my mashed up dick on the other side of the window. Something from a horror movie. I gasped and ran back to the hot tub, got back in, and just sat there in complete silence. A couple minutes later, her dad comes outside laughing, hands me a beer, and then reminisces with all of us for a minute about the crazy shit he did when he was a kid. I've never felt a shock like I did when I saw their faces. It still haunts me sometimes. But it all turned out better than expected. Story 13. There was this farm party when I was around 15 years old. Everyone was told to bring different types of alcohol, or they'd regret it. Guess who forgot to bring alcohol? So the person who didn't bring any alcohol had to be subject to one dare, no backing out, no limits. Basically, I had no choice or say in the dare. I could only agree and do it. So, in the middle of the party, the host girl, who was same age as me, shouts that it's time for Braco Taco to do the dare. She gets all her girlfriends together, and they plan the most embarrassing, exposing, devious dare ever. You have to let us blindfold you, tie you up, and do whatever we want for 15 minutes. Story 14. Not truth or dare, but a bad I never story. Playing after prom my junior year, when I made the horrible choice of saying I never cheated on anyone I was dating. One guy who was there with a friend drinks, and then it gets to a girl who takes a drink, who had been dating a friend of ours for years. We're all agape at this point when she turns to him and says, "We should probably talk." I felt like the biggest asshole ever. Story 15. At a party a while back, we were all 16 to 17 and we're all getting drunk in my friend's barn conversion, which is away from her parents' house. We start playing spin the bottle, tame stuff, and everyone starts losing interest. However, the girl whose party it was and my friend do not lose interest, and keep playing until they thought we'd all gone to sleep. They then proceeded to have the nastiest, loudest, and teeth-bashing gropey, horrible you can imagine. 4 hours. I don't even know how, but we were all awake and we could all hear. It was so loud you couldn't sleep. Their looks of shame in the morning, though, were probably worth it. The guy still gets shit for it a year on. Story 16. I have a Colt Walker revolver on my bookshelf. One night some folks came over, we had a few drinks, we started playing T or D. Someone dared me load a charge in the walker and play Russian roulette. Guess he figured I'd pass. He didn't know I was suicidal. I shot myself in the head and die. Kind of sucked. Story 17. The only time I have ever played Truth or Dare was at a camping trip in year 6 5th grade. One night, I was invited over to the popular tent where all of the popular boys and girls were playing a game of Truth or Dare. After about 10 minutes of watching people make out and shit, the boy who invited me dared a girl whom I had a crush on to kiss me. She ran out of the tent, screaming. Whilst everybody laughed, I silently excused myself and cried myself to sleep. Story 18. My first real party was when I was 11 or something, and I was really excited because everyone else was 16 or so. Anyway, we play Truth or Dare and it starts out fine, but escalates quickly. Someone gets a dare to motorboat some girl there. They're both fine with it, but mid-motorboat, her parents open the door to find a room full of teens watching a kid shoving his face in their daughter's top. Story 19. Back in high school we were at a party and the Truth or Dare. We played turn desk rather quickly and one of the girls was dared to blow one of the jocks there. She agreed and they went to a bedroom to complete the dare. All of a sudden, we hear a scream and the girl comes out a few seconds later with blood all over her face. Turns out the girl had braces and somehow got caught on his junk, tearing a dime-sized piece of skin off his D. One of the other jocks at the party got to hold his buddy's D while the ambulance came so he wouldn't bleed out. Story 20. It wasn't Truth or Dare, but back in middle school, we were standing at the bus stop and a kid found a comb and dared another kid to eat it. And he just straight up ate it right there. I don't even know how he did it. He just ate it. I have always wondered how it got out, if it got out. He made $3 that day. Another kid in high school was dared to eat 3 rocks, so he just ate them right there and he didn't even get paid. He just did it for free. He did it for himself.